Hey everybody, and welcome to Passion for Patients. I'm so excited about having you here today. Thanks for tuning in. And here today, I've got with us Kristen Willard, the Vice President of Education at GAAPP. And we are going to be talking about some exciting new initiatives that are coming later in 2025. So, Kristen, first, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
And I'm really excited to hear more about these new education initiatives that you've been working on. So share with the group a little bit about the two projects.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much. It's always fun to be here and very exciting to tell you what we have coming down the pike. So I'm here to talk about two things today. One of those is our Understanding Your Medications Hub, and the other is our Knowledge Hub. So they're a little bit different. So I'll just tell you briefly. Our Understanding Your Medications Hub is intended for patients in the GAAPP community, and that will help them to understand their medications, what it is that they do, how they work, and that will be for all of the conditions that are under the GAAPP umbrella. And then we have the Knowledge Hub, which is for our GAAPP member organizations. And that's really exciting. It's something I know we've wanted to offer them for some time to make their work easier, to make them, to make it easier to find materials, to have a place to engage with other member organizations. So this is really thrilling for us.
Yeah, this is something that we've envisioned for a really long time, to have that sort of firewalled private space that can be for members only, right? And we've had this semi-member portal for a couple of years, but now the Knowledge Hub is really going to come together and give our members a space that's dedicated to them for a number of different purposes. So let's start there. Let's learn more about the Knowledge Hub.
I'm excited to tell you about that. I want to point out exactly what you said. It's for members only, and I think that's important. To date, most things that we have at GAAPP have been public, right? Or we have a few things that are for members only. And in this case, it will be a hub that is password protected. People will get an account, each organization, and all of that content will be for them. So there's several things that I do want to stress about it. One of the biggest parts of the hub will be something called the Resource Hub. And that's essentially going to be a library of all of the materials you can think of that will A, help you to build capacity at your organization, and B, help you to do better work in your community. And these will be GAAPP materials, but they'll also be materials that are coming from our member organizations, because we want to stress the good work that you're doing, and the diversity of materials and languages will be so helpful, help us to make a greater impact as a group, right?
Yeah.
The community forum is also very exciting to us. So we know that the GAAPP organizations are connected and will do whatever it takes to be together, right? Whether it's WhatsApp groups, meeting in person,
Yes.
Whatever the case.
We've seen it over the years, how these informal relationships evolve and those groups, some kind of subsets of the GAAPP family convene.
That's
so,
and they will find a way.
Yeah.
Yes. And I love that spirit. And we're going to try to make it easier for people. So one of the components of the Knowledge Hub will be this community forum where you are able to interact with anyone with it who has an account, but we'll also have smaller groups for things like our alliances or for the CU Success Program, things along those lines. So a place where people can also then search the conversations that have happened. So much more, deliberate, cohesive. I think it'll be great.
So I'm sitting out there as a member organization, the leader of a member organization, and I'm thinking, what's in it for me? What's the benefit of this kind of Knowledge Hub?
Right. Why use this when I have so much else going on, right?
Yeah.
I think there are many reasons. One of the first things I'll say is that it will make it so much easier for people to find the good resources that we have. I hear from people a lot of the time that they're so pleased that we have so many resources, but that it can be difficult to find them. So the search,
be overwhelming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And particularly if you're new, I think too.
Right.
The search will be very robust in this research hub. So you can search by language, by type of material, if you're looking for a PowerPoint, by disease state. So there are different tags that you can use to narrow things down. That will make so many people's lives easier.
It will make my life easier because all the time I'm like, I know there's a great resource on this, but I just can't find it.
Exactly.
And so having that knowledge hub that I can go in, put in a few keywords and quickly pull up that resource and also maybe learn of new resources that I was unaware of
Exactly.
from member organizations, because we're now at 175 members all over the world and all different disease areas. So this can be that one-stop solution for members to really see what's out there. How do we best share those resources and amplify them, right?
Exactly. And the amplification part is what I want to pick up on next. We want to make sure that the resources of our member organizations are getting out into the world. It is not easy to do that. We're a large umbrella organization, and it's even hard for us. So the thought of being a smaller organization, really treading out there on social media, we really feel that. So your materials, we'll ask you to submit them to us so that we can put them in this same catalog in this library. That's really important. And I hope that people will engage on that level with us too. And I think one of the biggest benefits is that community, having a place where you can come, where you're with like-minded people who you can ask questions in a safe space. You can offer up expertise. You can look for other people who have expertise that you might need. And I think that that's something, that level of collaboration and community is something that I think can help us to grow by leaps and bounds.
Well, and again, since we have grown to be so large, I think finding your core group, that smaller subset of the GAAPP family that you can really connect with and collaborate with and work on different projects and, share those ups and downs, the highs and lows of the work that we do, I think it will only strengthen us as a community. So I'm very excited about this. So tell me, when is it going to launch?
Okay, so we are going, right now we're testing it and things are going quite well. So what we'll do is we'll test it more with a smaller group of member organizations. And then every single organization that is a member organization of GAAPP will have an account by September so that we can tell you more when we're at GAAPP Summit.
Awesome. I cannot wait to reveal this to everybody in September at GAAPP Summit.
Yes.
I really do think that this is something that we've dreamed about and kind of hoped for a number of years, that I've been thinking about different parts and pieces of it. And then when you came on, I was like, okay, now's the time. We've got someone to lead this project and we've got a great vendor and partner that's helping us to develop it. And I just can't wait to see the finished product.
I think from what I have seen, I promise you will be thrilled to have this in your hands.
Great. So that's so exciting. Now let's move on to the Understanding Medications Hub.
Yes.
And I'm going to be honest, this is far more than just medications, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of disease knowledge and recognizing exacerbations and all these other components that I think we've envisioned for this Understanding Medications Hub. So I keep pressing is that the right name for this? At the end of the day, it's a hub that walks you through kind of diagnosis all the way through long-term management of all the 20 plus diseases that we have at GAAPP, right?
Yes,
that's the goal.
It will be, and we keep going back to that one-stop shop phrasing, but that's what it's really intended to be. I want to share some stats with you because I think these are fantastic. The Pew Charitable Trust tells us that 65% of patients report feeling more empowered when they understand their medications. And understanding your treatments equals higher care satisfaction and safety, lower readmissions, things that we are all looking for, better outcomes for patients. Right. And that's what we're trying to do through this hub, is get that information out to people. But like you said, not just specifically about medications, about the broader, I think, disease experience.
So the Knowledge Hub is just for member organizations. The Understanding Meds Hub is really for the public. It's for general population, right? It's for anyone that just wants more information about these conditions. So tell us kind of what's going to be the different components of the hub.
I'm excited to tell you about that. So as you said, we want this to be in the hands of as many people as possible. So that's why it will not be sort of behind that wall that we're talking about for the Knowledge Hub. So this is intended mostly for patients, also, of course, for their families. I do think that a fair number of medical providers will find information that will be very helpful to them here. What you will be able to find there is basic information, more advanced information. We're going to employ a bunch of different modalities. So think text, think infographics, think videos, quizzes, things that we can do so you can be engaged no matter what type of learner you are, because that's important. There are a lot of things we want to achieve sort of topic wise. So let me touch on those just briefly. We know that we need to touch on the overview of the medications and how they work. We have found repeatedly in research that people are empowered by understanding the mechanisms of actions of their medication.
Yes.
And so that is
how it works, why it works.
that's
Yeah.
exactly right. And then you're more likely to adhere to your regimen when you understand that.
Sure.
We also want people to understand better the relationships between the conditions that we serve at GAAPP. And this is something that I know is a favorite topic of Tonya's, right?
Yeah.
That interconnectedness. Why do I have this condition and then I have another one that's under the GAAPP umbrella and one over here too?
Yeah. So on average, what we know is that it's about 3 or more comorbid, multimorbid conditions when you're living in this atopic airways disease area, right? So it's not that I only have asthma, it's that I have allergies, asthma, and maybe nasal polyps, right? Or it's not only that I have chronic urticaria, I also may have food allergy or environmental allergies or what have you. So it is that connection of these inflammatory conditions, of these airways conditions, that I think it's only been like in the last 5 or 10 years that this really has come to a full understanding, a better understanding, and that people are embracing this and thinking like, okay, I don't have to just be a set of lungs or just a nose or just, or just my skin. It's so much more than that. And I think that this is a great way to connect those dots.
I agree with you. And the other thing is that when you're a patient who's just trying to manage this one condition, you're not even thinking about how it might be connected to this other thing. But knowing more about that can help to improve, I think, your care management, right?
Yeah.
How you approach your conditions. I know it has been for me. So I love that this is something that GAAPP is dedicated to encouraging people to understand. Will also not just educate people, but really try to equip them to affect change in the way that they manage their care. So we'll make sure that you have access to evidence-based tools, whether they're action plans, it could be personalized medication plans, templates for things like conversations with your doctor.
Yes.
So that you can do things with the information that we're giving you. We don't want it to end right there because those are quite empowering.
And the key is we know a lot of these things exist. We know that our members have these at their fingertips that maybe they've developed or other organizations they're aware of have developed. So this will be that place again as like a central repository, a library to pull it all together, find a way to make it easy to access, easy to understand. And again, not ever intended to compete with our member organization sites or resources, but really just to bring them to a collective home that we can amplify and share across really the world, right?
I love that. I love that thinking because what we want to do is make sure then people know more about you as a member organization. So if we link to your resources, they can come find your page and all the other great things you have to offer. They may not even know about yet. Just a few more things. Adherence is another thing we're going to cover, which we know is so important. And there is no one who is perfect with their adherence to medications. We work in this field and we are not perfect with our adherence.
I know I am not.
I was reminded of that this morning looking at my pillbox. So there's so much that we can learn about how to improve that. And then of course, improve outcomes for ourselves when it comes to adhering to medication. So we'll be working on that too. Also flares. It does not matter the condition that you're talking about at GAAPP. I think it's important to talk about flares, their identification, and what you can do when you identify that you're having a flare.
Yeah. This is probably the most challenging area if we're talking about across disease areas. Like, how do I know when I'm getting worse? How do I know when I should go to the doctor? How do I know when I should seek emergency care? These are the kinds of things that people are trying to navigate in their everyday world and don't really have clear, easy to understand checklist, right? Of like, okay, this, and this, I need to go, right? It's time. It's time to stop normalizing, adapting, and accepting less than a normal life free of symptoms. And so I think that's what I'm really excited about this is to have those flare or exacerbation recognition type of tools at our fingertips across different disease areas. I think
Yes.
it'll be really valuable.
Yes, we want to encourage you to speak up. But too often we will, like you say, we adapt to that, and there's no reason for anyone to do that. So let's work together to figure out for you personally as the patient, how it is best that you approach your flares.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So when can we expect the Understanding Medications?
So that will be coming in fall 2025 as well. So this is a very exciting summer and fall for us. Actually, every single quarter is exciting at GAAPP, but in particular in education, those 2 quarters are very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that this is a hub too. I want to reinforce that while we may launch it in Q3 of this year, later in 2025, it's going to continue to be improved and built upon, just like the Knowledge Hub. Neither one will be a one and done at launch. We'll have to continue to iterate this and get your feedback as members of member organizations, as leaders of member organizations. What's valuable? What's missing? How do we do it better? Right? That's our philosophy
exactly
of
right.
education there.
That's exactly right. We are always learning. We should be always learning. I hope that until we leave this world, right? And so get in touch with us. Tell us what we're doing well, what things you'd like to see there. And you can always get in touch with us at info@gaap.org about any of the educational materials or things you'd like to see.
Yeah. Well, Kristen, thank you again for coming in, for talking about these 2 important initiatives, the new projects that we've got releasing later this year. Is there anything that you just want to reinforce to the member organizations, to our listeners today?
Yes, absolutely. What I'd love to tell you is that your education is important. I do not want you to hesitate to brag about the materials you have, to send those in to us, because we at GAAPP are devoted to amplifying your voice and all the good work you have done. So please, please send those in to us, and we'll make sure that we get them included.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming in and sharing this exciting news. I know everyone will be anxious about GAAPP Summit and seeing them revealed on September 25th and 26th in Amsterdam. And thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for continuing to support the Passion for Patients podcast. And we hope that you'll join us next time.